So today we're going to discuss three types of question. First type of question is multiple choice. So actually this type of questions is really widespread in many types of examinations, and here locally in Kazakhstan it's also very widespread. For example, national test, it consists of all the multiple choice questions, type 1, because there are three types of multiple choice which we are going to discuss. So why do we need first of all to know and to be able to identify type of task? Because type of task is each type of task has its own algorithm of treatment, of making this test, of following some rules to find the correct answer. And it's very important also to take into consideration all the algorithms, because in IELTS time is very limited and it's very important to be on time, to be precise, to follow the limits with both texts, reading part and listening. So, multiple choice. First type. Type 1 is a type when you are going to have question and several variants of answer. Usually this type of task is going to be represented by several questions, and for each specific question you're going to have several types of answers. In your answer sheet, the final result of your test is going to be one answer only for each question, and the answer is going to be a letter. So it's also important if you are writing the phrase or words or numbers in your answer sheet, or if you are writing just a letter code, yes. So this type of answer is about code. Important thing about this type, which makes it different from others, is that only one correct answer is possible, and only one answer is going to be given in your answer sheet, no two, as in other types. If to compare it with type number 2, in type number 2 you usually have one question, several answers, variants of answer, and two or more variants are possible. Usually it's 2 or 3. For example, B and D should be the correct answers, and in your answer sheet you're going to put both letters. For example, B and D. And only in this case you get your point for this question. If one is incorrect, or if you put just one of them, you're not counted any points, yes? So this is type number 2. Type 3. Usually you're going to have the remark like that, which means that you're going to have one question for 2 questions at once. For example, you're going probably to find reasons for some event, and they mark for you that there are 2 reasons you need to find. So for example, B is correct and F is correct. But still here you have 2 questions in one. In your answer sheet, each question is going to have one answer. Or vice versa. You can write like this, F, B. It's not going to be a mistake. but each space is going to contain one answer only, and each of them is your separate point, of course. So it's much better than type number 2, because here you can easily lose your score just because you make mistake in one thing. Now more about the algorithm for all types of questions. We will work more with type number 1 as example. So first, as you start to work with a question, you open your papers with the tasks. You need to identify which type of question you're having. It helps you to understand what is going to be your answer. For example, as you see that this is multiple choice type number 1, you already know that you're going to have your answer as a letter, only one letter, which is going to give you one score. Now about the hints, let's say. They are very important, especially for type of task, multiple choice for listening. You should never identify, or you should never go deeper inside of each of answers. This way you are going to lose the time and you have a chance to get confused. Why that? Because usually here in your answers, you have keywords. For example, somewhere here, car, match, fish. And in your text or in your listening, you're going to hear all these words. But only one answer is going to be your correct answer, with all the modal verbs, auxiliary verbs, correct verbs, yes, which give you the understanding that this is the correct one. If you read the answers before listening or before looking through the text, you're going probably to find incorrect keywords, and it's going to be difficult for you to identify that some minor words like no, slightly, minor, and so on, some modal verbs, some adverbs, are going to show you that this is opposite. This is not car, while in the text, for example, you have a car answer. So you can lose the time, especially during listening, if you check your answers, and you can get confused because you usually have more than one answer where you have your keywords. So one more important thing. If you see one of the blocks with multiple choice in your listening, you're going to see that you usually have more than 1 or 2 questions with type number 1, which means you probably have 5 questions, 4 variants for each of them, and it's already psychologically difficult when you see them all and you try to check them all. And you're going to probably have 20 seconds for checking out the answers before you go further to the listening. And it makes it really impossible to check all the lines. So probably you have time for question number 1 and somewhere, questions number 2 is a variance, and that's it. And then you're a little bit confused and shocked because you didn't have enough time to check all of them. Yes, you had experience of that. So that's why start from the very beginning treating this type of question with no checking your answers. In this case, you're going to have line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4, or line 5. 5 lines are much easier to analyze than 20 lines, yes, or 25 lines. Next thing, you save the time. You made your volume of information like 5 times less, fewer, and then you're going to do the following. You're going to pay attention on your question. So in fact, if it's reading, It's about searching for the answer for your question. Why then you need your answers? You need to understand the question. The same for listening. In order to get the correct information, you are going to hear the correct information. You need to understand what you are going to try to hear. For this, you are going to use the keyword search techniques. Search. So, there are two basic techniques of the keyword search. First one, identify first and second priority keywords. First of all, first and second priority, it means the types, the parts of speech which they represent. So for example, first priority, those are usually nouns or adjectives or verbs. But if you are looking for the first priority keywords, you need to find those which can't be substituted with any other word. For example, noun book. You can't find better equivalent or other equivalent or synonym for this word. Or the term asparagine. You can't find any other word, scientific term, which will substitute it. It means that in the text you are going to find this specific word. And that will be your point where you identify your answer for the question. So, first priority keywords are going to be those words which are nouns, adjectives, and verbs, which are the unique, which are sort of terms, which are X's. Yes, I call them X. Sometimes people don't know what the term means, but it's not the general term. It looks like some scientific thing, and if you identify it like X, yes, you can search this X just within the algorithm, and that's okay, you're going to find it. If you are going to choose some word which can be substituted, you have a risk to find the synonym, but not to identify your word. And you will just read it or look it through, and you will not stick on it. So you need to find those which can be unique, which you are going to find in the same variant in your test. Second priority words are going to be conjunctions, so, for example, words like but, and they're very important as well. And they are necessary, second priority keywords, they are necessary for checking if you found the correct sentence. For example, when you find in the sentence the word book, which is your first priority, and the word, verb, let's say cook, which is also your first priority, you need to check if it's still yours, and you need to check which variant of answer is going to be correct. In order to check it, you're going to look through all the other parts of your sentence, of your question, in order to compare them. So then we go to conjunctions, to modal verbs, also to auxiliary verbs, future, yes, will and shall. This is also very important because you don't pay attention to them while you identify the location of your question in the text, but they are very important when you check the answer, if it's correct or not, and which variant is mentioned, let's say. So you need to do second priority as well. My advice, when you identify keywords in your question, you need to underline them. It's better, yes. When you get second priority, you can mark them in some different way, but they are also important. Identifying first and second priority keywords. So finally, when you get your question, the final result should be that you have all the necessary words underlined. Then, what happens then? When you go to the text or when you start listening, your brain is ready to hear or to find those words which you underlined. You already scanned them from your question and you're going to find their location in the text or in the audio. And then you will get the full, let's say, full answer for this question. You will get the whole information you're having connected with this question. But sometimes the questions are very long, like 1.5 lines in small letters and so on. So in this case, you can also try the second technique, which also works. It works better for other types of questions. I will tell you later about them. But for multiple choice, it's up to you. You can use one or other. It depends on your, let's say, your personal choice. One or other technique can be easier for you. So second technique. Odd words. Odd words is when you are reading or looking through the question and you're crossing out, not like that, but just like that, because it also saves you time. Some people start to do like this, and they lose the time. Cross out odd words which do not make sense in this context, telling about the keywords. So those can be prepositions, not always, but mostly prepositions, sometimes auxiliaries, does, yes, does not like. For you, it's enough to keep not like, and it's already clear, the sense is clear for you. But does makes your line too long for scanning it during answering the question. So, prepositions, auxiliaries, articles. Yes, we have a lot of articles in front of each, mostly in front of each noun or adjective plus noun. And sometimes you can cross out about 8 words, so it's like 30% of your full question, and it makes it easier for you to look through it again. While you are reading or crossing out, your brain is again scanning those which you considered as important because you kept them. And for you, they are going to be seen in your picture as those which are kept as necessary. Like you can see them easier. You can read them out easier when you get back to this question after you identify location or after you start listening. So now we're going to little bit to do the practical work of our variants we have. So